And again, welcome everyone. We really appreciate you being here for Liminal Transformation, the Shift Co webinar with Mike Parker, a Shift Co Master Teacher. My name is Stephen Donaco. I am the Director of Programming for Shift Co. And without any further ado, let me just hand it off to Mike Parker for what I think will be a really powerful session. So Mike, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. It's great to be here, and thanks everyone for coming. I'm particularly excited to actually be doing this with Shiftco because I really like what they're doing as an organisation. So if we could have the first slide, Stephen, please. This is just a quick overview of what we're going to cover. So why would you want to do liminal coaching? What is solutions focused? And we're going to do a quick bit of what's been good, and you'll see what that is in a minute. Then we're going to talk a little bit about guided relaxation and metaphor. And then we're going to do one, which is going to take about 15 minutes. So this is going to be your opportunity when we get to the guided relaxation part to totally and completely relax. You can zone out, turn off your video. If you've got earphones, all the better because the sound's great. And then I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of what we can do at Liminal Coaching, the different things that we actually offer. So if we could have the next slide, please. So there's this guy, Professor Steve Peters, who wrote this book called The Chimp Paradox. And basically he refers to like the chimp brain and the conscious brain, which is one way of describing how we're constructed. And basically he says if there's a fight between you and your chimp, the chimp will win. Right? That's his bottom line. Antonio Damasio, who's a neuroscientist and psychologist who wrote a book called Descartes' Error, suggests that the brain evolved to serve the organism and not the other way around. Okay, so we tend to think of ourselves as like a brain controlling everything that happens in our body. Damasio is saying, actually, that's not right. An enormous amount of what we think is actually comes from our body, actually comes from our subconscious, from our instincts and emotions and so on. And he illustrates that by a fascinating fact, which is that people who have had a lesion on the emotional centers of their brain so that they can't feel anything anymore, they retain all of their cognitive capability. Their IQ is just as good, they can think just as well, but they become incapable of making any decisions, right? Because actually it's our emotions and the emotional valency that gets attached to particular ideas and thoughts that gives them their value to us. So liminal coaching actually sees both of these insights, and I think they are insights, but I see them as being limited by an implicit duality between conscious and subconscious, which is partly kind of slightly factual, but a lot of it is also culturally constructed. And what we do with liminal coaching is we bring those two different parts of ourselves into a harmonious relation. So you aren't fighting yourself anymore. Next slide, please. One of the ways we do that is by using a solutions-focused approach in the coaching. And here's a really interesting question. What's it like to wake up tomorrow in your preferred future? And we ask this question a lot during sessions. What's it like for you to be where you really want to be? And nearly everybody will actually say, well, first of all, this wouldn't happen anymore, that wouldn't happen anymore, I wouldn't feel like that anymore, and that wouldn't be happening to me. Okay? And that's what I call the don't think of a blue elephant moment, because actually as soon as you say don't think of a blue elephant, somebody, the first thing they think of is the blue elephant. And when you ask what's it like to wake up tomorrow in your preferred future, what you actually get are all the things that would stop happening. Those are all the things which are painful at the moment. So what we then do is we cycle round and we say, okay, so if all those things weren't happening, if they had really gone away, what would be happening instead? And when we ask that question, people then start actually thinking about, well, what would happen? What would happen if I didn't feel that fear? What would happen if that did go away? Which is actually a really interesting conscious cognitive part of what we do. Remembering a small thing that you enjoyed happening, an enjoyable memory, calms your amygdala and boosts your serotonin. So next slide, please. This is what's been good. And we actually do this with folks in sessions. I'll ask a client, give me 4 or 5 things which have been great about your week. And when you remember something which has been good, it actually reduces the blood supply to your amygdala, which is the flight-fight center of the more primitive brain, the limbic system. And it also releases a shot of serotonin into the brain, which is the feel-good, I can cope neurotransmitter. And they've actually seen this, you can actually see this happening with fMRI studies they've done of blood supply to the amygdala. The interesting thing is that it's not linear, so almost as much serotonin is generated by remembering a great cup of coffee as would be by remembering winning the Nobel Prize. And that is actually a very powerful little nugget of information to know, because what it tells you is that if you can spend some time remembering simple, small things which have actually made you smile or made you feel good, you will be changing your brain state. You will be reducing the blood supply to your anxiety center, and you will be increasing your serotonin levels. Next slide, please. So why do we use guided relaxation and metaphor, and how do we use them? I actually did an entire day-long workshop just on metaphor on this subject, so you can appreciate how much this is going to be abbreviated. Guided relaxation is a doorway, and metaphor is the language, and it is most of all the language that the subconscious speaks. So next slide, please. And you do actually have a subconscious. A lot of people actually kind of seem to think that perhaps they don't really, that really they're in control of everything. And it's really not true. The roots of our beliefs and behaviors lie deep inside and quite often out of our conscious access. And there's a really interesting bit of work, extensive work actually, by a neuroscientist, Dr. Chun Soon and his colleagues, that found that whether a subject chose to add or subtract 2 numbers was predicted by their brain activity up to 4 seconds before they were aware of deciding. Right? So the impulse to actually start doing something starts in the depths of the subconscious. Now, that's not to say that your conscious mind doesn't have some kind of veto over it. Obviously, this is not a black and white situation, it's nuanced. But what it does mean is that the overall focus of what is possible, of what's suggested to you as courses of action, originate at a subconscious level, and a lot of them are based on beliefs and biases and experiences which could have happened to us really early on in life. Okay. So liminal coaching opens a 2-way channel of communication with the subconscious, so we can actually change them more easily. We can repattern really successfully. Next slide, please. So quite often people say to me, when I talk to them about liminal coaching, they say, oh yeah, sounds great, but don't worry, we've got mindfulness covered. So I want to just say a little bit about why it's different to meditation. This is actually a quote from Jack Cornfield, who I think is really great. I really like his work on meditation and Buddhism. And he says, even the best meditators have old wounds to heal. For most people, meditation practice doesn't do it all. At best, it's an important piece of a complex path of opening and awakening. So I think you will get copies of these slides so you can have a look at the article itself. Next slide, please. Most meditation is actually dissociative. Okay, so you are observing your thoughts and feelings as they arise, and it nurtures detachment from thoughts and feelings, which can actually help with some of the symptoms of minor trauma, major trauma, depression, etc. But it doesn't actually solve the root causes. Okay, so liminal coaching guided relaxation actually does what meditation does not. It works directly with the subconscious to clear obstructions and connect with your creative wellsprings. It's actually pretty interesting when you do a guided relaxation as opposed to a guided meditation where you're telling somebody to focus and concentrate on something. You see with EEG, you see more activity in the right hemisphere of the brain than in the left. And when you get somebody to do a mindfulness meditation, you see more activity in the left hemisphere of the brain. What's interesting about that is that the right hemisphere of the brain has more and longer neurons that reach deeper into the emotional centers of the brain. So it actually means that by using guided relaxation, we are able to access those emotional centers of the brain. And they work by pattern. They work with patterns. So they work with metaphor. Okay, next slide, please. Guided relaxation is very similar to daydream, and it also has very similar qualities to REM sleep. And the default mode is activated. So I'm now just going to very quickly run through one of my favorite neuroscience stories, which is from 2012, when two scientists called Rachel and Shulman were actually doing an experiment at the University of Washington in St. Louis. And they were measuring the amount of energy the brain used while people were doing different activities. So they had people wired into fMRI machines, and I think they were actually monitoring the uptake of blood sugar in different areas of the brain. And in between giving them tests to do, like mental arithmetic and trying to memorize bits of text and so on, the scientists left them there in the machines because it takes a long time to wire somebody into one of those things. And they didn't have anything to do, so they're lying there with nothing to do, and a couple of them started daydreaming. And one of the scientists looked round at the readout and said, "Wow, what is happening here?" Because what they saw was that when the brain had dropped into this daydream state, the amount of energy the brain was using was going up to anything up to 20 times as much as when people were doing mental arithmetic, were doing task-focused thinking. Okay, so you can see that obviously there was a huge amount happening that really hadn't been looked at before. And they decided they'd have to change the name of the daydream state from the idle state of the brain to the default mode. As what they found was that more areas of the brain were talking to each other more comprehensively than in any other brain state. And we know now that one of the things that mode of brain operation does is to process emotionally charged memories and turn them into narrative memories. So two things happen. Most of the emotion is drained out of the memory of a particular incident, and a little bit is left, so you can still remember what the significance of the event was. But then also the memory is placed onto what's called the narrative timeline. It's given a position in your personal history in the brain. So this is incredibly important because what actually happens with people who suffer from PTSD and trauma and phobia is that for one reason or another, that process doesn't occur, and the emotionally charged memory remains fully emotionally charged with all of the original emotion, and it isn't on the timeline, so it isn't identified as being in the past. And if something triggers that memory, it could be anything in the external environment, then what happens is all of the original emotion is re-experienced, and it feels like there's this sensation, this feeling of, oh my God, this is happening to me again. Now that happens, that the memory doesn't get processed if we are in something bad is happening to us and we are unable to even try to do anything about it. So if something bad is happening to us and we're powerless, that's when you end up with PTSD and trauma and phobia. Okay, so as well as doing that kind of processing with memories, it works to produce solutions to massively complex problems involving systemic patterns. Okay, so I hope you're beginning to see how important and how powerful and valuable this state is. Next slide, please. So I think we covered most of that. Yeah, it's an excellent way of accessing and working with the subconscious directly. So next slide, please. And here we are. Here's my main point, really, about the DMN, about this relaxed state, the daydream state, the default mode state. The massive capability to solve complex problems kicks into gear below the level of consciousness and presents us with solutions to massively complex problems. One of those massively complex problems is actually our network of social relationships, which is one of the most sophisticated, multifaceted, and important parts of our entire existence. So we know that a lot of social processing is happening in that brain state. But also it solves for massively complex problems. And this guy, Mendeleev, is a good example, because the periodic table is probably one of the biggest paradigm shifts in the history of science. And Mendeleev actually said himself, I saw it in a dream, a table where all the elements fell into place as required. Awakening, I immediately wrote it down on a piece of paper, and only in one place did a correction later seem necessary. And lots of really, really creative, groundbreaking scientists will report exactly the same kind of experience as this. It may not be, I saw it in a dream, but it can quite often be, oh, I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning and boom, the whole thing just fell into place. And that's because you have actually allowed yourself to spend time in this daydream state, in this REM state. So one of the things that we actually teach clients is to do regular and deliberate conscious mind wandering from time to time while they're working, because it actually helps them to solve complex problems. So yes, the next slide, please. Metaphor, I say, is the language of the unconscious, and the reason for saying that is because actually we use one metaphor for every 10 to 25 words we speak, or about 6 metaphors a minute. We actually think metaphorically. Metaphorical thinking is the way we make sense of the world, by pattern matching. And metaphors aren't confined to spoken or written language. They can also be visual, auditory, and physical. But most important for what we are about to do is the fact that metaphor is the language of the subconscious. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you an actual real-world example. By using guided relaxation and guided imagery, where the story of the guided imagery actually illustrates in abstract, in metaphorical form, the way in which the immune system works. By using a story like that during guided relaxation, you can see a measurable increase in test subjects of a boost of the immune system of up to 30%. So that's actual hard, real hard science which has been done, which has shown that happening. So we know that when we use a metaphorical story which actually mirrors the processes which are intrinsic in the body even, as well as in the brain itself, then we can actually amplify, increase, and communicate with those processes through that medium. Okay. And that brings us to a really fun part of all of this, which is where you all get to completely and absolutely relax and zone out and turn off your video if you want to. And we're going to do a short guided relaxation. And one thing I will say is that this guided relaxation is quite a short one, but it's kind of a taster. But it does give you the opportunity to tell your subconscious where you'd really like to be, what you would really like to have happening. So just maybe spend a couple of seconds as you begin to listen to me talking in a way which is just designed to relax you, just to focus on what that might look like. Where would you really like to be? What would you really like to have happening? So off we go. I'm just going to cue some music here as well for you to listen to in the background while we do this, and fade that up for you. And I'm just going to ask you now to completely and absolutely relax every single muscle as much as you can. And just let yourself go really loose and sink down into where you're lying or sitting. And know that for the next little while, you have got absolutely nothing to do, nothing to worry about, nothing to concern yourself with at all. And you can just drift and dream. And you can even take a nap if you want to, and it'll work just fine. But maybe start just by taking a few deep, easy breaths, breathing from your stomach, and just imagining that you're breathing in peace and calmness and relaxation, and breathing out any stress, any tension, any anxiety, and just letting all of that drift away from you completely. imagining now that you're breathing in a clear golden light that fills you from head to toe, resonating in every cell, every muscle, every part of your body and brain and being, energizing you, healing you, making you feel really good, clear, calm, relaxed, and breathing out any stress, any tension, any worry at all, and just letting all of that drift away from you completely. Breathing in peace and calm and relaxation, and breathing out any stress, any tension, any worry at all, and letting all of that drift away from you completely. Just like leaves drifting away down a stream, like the mists dissolving in the morning sun. So you are comfortably relaxed with your eyes closed and knowing that nothing at all is required of you, not even to listen to what's being said. And you know it's probably much more interesting to avoid not listening too hard or trying to concentrate, but drifting more like a breeze in the trees that makes those soft sighing sounds, like somebody breathing out and relaxing and letting all their worries, stress and tension just drift away. Your conscious mind can enjoy thinking about all kinds of odd things, while you just drift in a very warm and comfortable sea of golden light, warm, peaceful and calm, not really even needing to know what's said or not said there or here, while trees sway gently in a breeze that drifts around, touching everything with whispers of how things just flow. And you flow with them in a way that takes you exactly where you need to go, and turns out to be exactly where you want to go, because there never really was any difference. And you and I both know that going with the flow doesn't mean not paddling at all, but paddling in just the right way and at just the right time, to catch the wave, to catch the flow of circumstance that enables you to achieve so much more with so much less effort. And you do know how to do that, because your intuition and your instincts are absolutely fine. The subconscious, of course, hears everything and knows what's really important, whether it's the whispers of the breeze or even some of the words I speak of the space and grace and ease of knowing and seeing and doing and being, and how it's okay now for the core of you to just be. It knows which words to choose to use for your best benefit. Your conscious mind has drifted off somewhere now. It doesn't notice Alice running by with the wise white rabbit. And why should it care what's happening there, in the calm, quiet depths of the lake of you, where you've come to rest close to your core for a while? So quiet and still, so peaceful and so calm. And the ripples where you drifted down through the clear, glassy water here like a smooth stone dropped from above, spread out across the lake and disappear, leaving the water completely clear, reflecting the sky and the landscape in the same way a calm, clear mind reflects the world we perceive through our senses, our circumstances, and the people in our lives, allowing us to understand much more deeply what's really happening, and to frame our thoughts and speech and actions from that calm, clear, powerful place within that allows our own authentic self to flow freely and clearly into the world. And you drift at peace, remembering how easy it is to learn new things and to see things in many different ways when you're so relaxed and in touch with yourself, with all the resources you have within you, unshaken and calm and self-confident. And knowing up is down makes perfect sense sometimes. The inside is always an outside. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that's a great way to get things done. Just once, just right. With that easy grace and space that knows there's always time to take a breath, to take a beat, and to feel and sense your way into the next move you make with all your being. And as you go deeper now, each easy breath relaxing you and calming you more and more, you can be aware of how comfortable and peaceful you've become as your body relaxes and your mind relaxes with it, filling you completely. And you drift now deeper and deeper into sleep, deeper and deeper into dream. For in many ways, it really is true to say, we are such stuff as dreams are made of, and by our dreams may be remade. And in this dreaming dream of dreams that you dream now, you find yourself walking down a spacious hallway. Windows on the left look out over a vista of rolling green hills, with the sea sparkling in the sun in the middle distance. And on the right, the passageway is lined with doors that open onto different places, different spaces and realities. You come to a set of 10 steps that lead down to a door made of polished oak that glows in the afternoon sunlight. In a moment or two, I'm going to count all the way down from 10 down to 0. And as I count all the way down from 10 down to 0, you can imagine that each number is a step on the staircase, another step down into deeper and deeper levels of relaxation, so that by the time I get to 0, you will be as relaxed as you can ever be. 10. Take the first step down now. 9. Feeling more and more relaxed, moving down easily. 8. Another step down now into relaxed calmness. 7. Imagining how it feels as your hand glides down the stairwell. 6. Going deeper now. Deeper and still deeper. 5. Feeling more and more relaxed. 4. Deeper still now, and still deeper. 3. Your breathing becoming slower and steadier. 2. A wonderful calmness just sweeping over you. 1. Almost all the way down now. Just one more step to go to 0. 0. And now you find yourself in front of the door to your own special room. There is a quartered circle engraved in the middle of the top half of the door, with a single pearl set in the center. It has your name inset just below that in gold that glows in the sunshine from the window behind. This door belongs completely to you and to you alone. The handle to the door is also made of gold and feels warm in your hand as you turn it to go through. You move easily inside the room. It's comfortable and warm inside here and softly lit and furnished exactly as you want it to be, to make it absolutely perfect. It becomes quite vivid in your mind. You catch the smell of it, the feel of it, as well as the way it looks. And in the middle of the room is a comfortable chair, a wonderfully luxurious and comfortable chair. And you walk lazily over to it, flop yourself down, enjoying the deep sense of tranquility that sweeps over you as you sink into the cushions. You notice now that there's a screen on the wall, and somehow you know that you can project whatever you're thinking onto the screen in front of you. And you know that what you project here in this room will be transmitted to your subconscious And as you sit looking at the screen now, you create a wonderful image on it. You create an image of where you want to be and of what you want to be happening in the future. It could be anything you like. But you spend a little bit of time now just building up the image there on the screen, adding bits of detail. After a little while, you can see a sign flashing at the bottom of the screen, which says transmitting. And the image on the screen that you've created now slowly fades. And as it does, you know that it's been sent to your unconscious for it to work on. And it feels really good. It feels like you've established a connection there that you can use again and again. But now it's time to return. So you rise up from the chair and leave the room, feeling happy and calm, closing the door behind you, and knowing you can come back here whenever you like. You make your way back up the stairs to the top and turn left, walking down the hall, and then right out through a large pair of double doors into a sun-filled courtyard, where you stop for a few moments, just breathing in the clear air, looking at the sky, enjoying the sunshine. And then you find yourself now just drifting easily and peacefully back up through the water of the pool, returning easily and gently to ordinary waking at your own pace and your own time. But feeling really good, feeling clear and calm and energized, just drifting back now, taking all the time you need. Okay, I hope everyone enjoyed that and is nicely relaxed and feeling really good. You will get a copy of the slides, so there's a link to, and you will be receiving a link to a recording of that, so you can use it as often as you like. Perhaps we could have the next slide, please, Stephen. So just a short resume of what we do. So first of all, I want a big shout out for Shiftco, because if you're a Shiftco member like me, right, then you can get, I think it's the 6-module course as part of your subscription, and that is actually a complete set of stuff, of guided relaxations and bits of knowledge, handouts, which will take you through a whole process of clearing out background material in your subconscious, connecting you with your intuition, emptying out old ideas and beliefs you may not want anymore, and setting you up for actually moving forward in a way you really want to. And because we aim to only take people through that once, it's designed so that this is a set of tools that you can carry on using for a long time. We also do group coaching, and we can set up programs of varying lengths with different focuses. So there's lots of different things that we can focus on, I will say. So there's special stuff around intuition. There's special stuff around re-establishing deep contact with nature. There's special stuff around developing new solutions for things. And there's also special stuff around dealing with unprocessed trauma and stuff like that. And in addition to that, so we do that in one-to-one programs as well, which is one-to-one coaching. We also have a unique metaphor landscaping technique, which I think we use with Amanitas. I think there's somebody here who heard about that from Geronimo. That's actually a great technique. We use socially negotiated cognitive mapping. So we get a whole team of people and we get them to actually cognitively map together the metaphor landscape of the journey that they collectively want to take. Okay, we harvest the metaphors from that workshop and we use them to create a special bespoke guided relaxation for that team of people, for that specific thing that they want to focus on. and we work with them one-to-one and in group sessions subsequently. So that's an incredibly powerful way of getting a team of people subconsciously aligned to a shared purpose. And then we do bespoke tailored programs for groups and individuals. And I think that's probably just about bang on the time you needed, Stephen, right?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. There's a slide with a couple of links for Mike's website and booking a chat. You'll get this by email, as Mike said. I'll send you the slides too. We do have a few moments. If anybody has questions for Mike, I just want to say, Mike, what really moved me about the presentation, and I've been through your process before, but in particular, what really struck me was the I think you said the dopamine hit that you get thinking about like a really good cup of coffee and winning the Nobel Prize. That, I mean, wow, what a shift, because you can help yourself to feel better without recalling some grandiose event. I mean, it could be very simple.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah. Oh, could I just add, just before we finish?
Please.
Please, if anyone wants to get hold of me, there's a chat link there. I never, ever do hard selling. I hate it. I'm more than happy just to chat about whatever you want to chat about, with absolutely no obligation, because I just geek out on this stuff.
Any questions or just something that moved you about Mike's presentation that you'd like to share a little briefly?
I just want to say thank you. It was, as you know, the comment said, it was very relaxing and very powerful. So it was a really great way to enjoy a relaxation, a meditative state. So that's a new experience for me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Thanks, Tricia.
So with somebody's just asked the difference between relaxation and meditation. So with meditation, it is an active cognitive process. Normally what you're doing is you're either focusing on your breathing or you're focusing on observing your thoughts and your feelings. Okay. With guided relaxation, you can go to sleep and it's still going to work. You can have a nap during the guided relaxation part of the session and it will still work just as powerfully. In fact, we get clients to listen to recordings while they're going to sleep, and the emphasis is on just have it on in the background and go to sleep. So it's completely about relaxing, right? And that's the big difference. Plus which, of course, if you do go to sleep when you're doing guided relaxation, no one hits you with a stick.
Any other questions or thoughts for Mike? Okay. So let me just very briefly go back to the slides for a moment. Just want to say a couple things about ShiftCo. We would be happy to have you join the platform if you're not already a member. Your business will grow using the platform. We are a business growth platform, and that's what we do for our members. You'll receive support from an amazing community of leaders. Mike is a master teacher, is one of them, and then there are a number of other leaders, both peer and executive leaders, that are here to support you. And then collectively, we really believe that as a community, a membership community, we will make a bigger impact being stronger together. This is our growth platform model. There are 6 phases of business growth that are built upon revenue. So, but the point is that regardless of where you come into the platform, you grow to where you want to be. This is not a cookie cutter approach. We don't expect everybody who comes in as a launch phase member to become a $10 million business. It's not our goal. Our goal and our objective and our vision is to help you grow to exactly to where you want to be in your business. So no cookie cutters. The things that our members get as benefits is they get access to a mentor who is your first point of contact to the platform and your guide. There's training in what we call the core, which is our online learning, a skill-based instruction platform. Everyone gets a pathway coach. That's a skill-based expert that will help you in whatever phase and whatever pathway you are in between phases. And then there's a phase coach, and that's at the high level, the business growth expert that's going to help you to get from one business phase to another as you grow. The core learning platform has got 3 pillars. business fuel, leadership fuel, and personal fuel. So we believe in not only developing you as a conscious entrepreneur and a successful business person, but we also strongly believe and equally in developing you as a conscious leader, as well as supporting your interpersonal growth, which is evidenced very much by Mike's presentation here today. And then on the back end, if you become a member, we have got a back end technology platform that is the portal where you can access all your benefits, communicate with our community, and basically sign up for events like this as well. And then the subscription rates, based on what phase you're in, are these. And again, the point is to grow where you want to be. We do our best to keep our subscription rates low so that you have available funds to frankly work on your business, and then also to bring in other resources that might help you. And that includes like hiring coaches like Mike Parker, for instance. And then the bottom line is it's time to grow. I mean, we are here to support conscious entrepreneurs and growing their brands. That's what we're all about. So if you are a member, great. We're happy you're here. If you're considering membership, we'd love to have you. So again, thank you so much, Mike Parker, for your presentation. And thank you everyone for being here. Sign up for any of our future events. All our public events are free and they always will be. So Mike, thanks very much. And
Thanks a lot.
everyone, thank you for being here. Really love seeing you all. Thanks.